Morphin time! Yeah!
Today we are going to start a journey that begins after a war and culminates with one of the most difficult battles for the Rangers. This is a series of videos to summarize the comic book series, Charge to 100. After the destruction of the command center, after the Eltarian War, Kimberly, Rocky, Adam, Aisha, Billy, Tommy, Alpha 5 and Zordon are in the headquarters. We can see that the whole command center was smashed to pieces and the Rangers are a bit worried, except Rocky, who already started to pick up and clean up the whole place. If you saw the destruction of the command center in the TV series, then you know that it has a place underground that is more protected. Zordon explains that the place below is called the power chamber and it is the place that allows the Rangers to connect to the Morphin grid. The upstairs part of the command center that we have always known is important as well, as it was for communication, surveillance and protection of the power chamber. Without that top part, then the Rangers are exposed, and anyone can attack them so they can't reconnect to the Morphin grid. Although we all thought, including the Rangers, that there was only one command center in the entire universe, Zordon and Alpha 5 explained that it was a basic Eltarian command center and there are many just like it. Because of this, the Rangers decide to travel into space in search of another command center since without such a place the Earth is in danger. Zordon states that even though Lord Zed helped them in the previous war, he still seeks the destruction of the Power Rangers. Rocky returns home to talk to his mother and she tells him that she needs him to stay home to take care of his siblings since she must travel, otherwise she will lose her job. Rocky tries to make excuses that he has a school trip since he knows they must travel to space to find the command center. At that moment Rocky's sister arrives very surprised as if something was happening with the moon. When they all look up at the sky, they realize the moon was disappearing. But Rocky says that's a problem for the next day. In Promethea we can see Grace, the first Red Ranger and creator of the Terra Venture ship, repairing the place and receives a call from Dr. Zaskin, who confirms that the moon did not disappear, but was camouflaged. Then inside Promethea we can see Zordon, Billy and Tommy who went looking for help and tell Grace that they need her protection as the power chamber is at risk. They also asked her for an Elter ship and 10,000 megawatts. Grace agrees to help them since the Green Ranger, who is not Tommy, comes from Promethea and he also needs the Morphin grid to access his powers. On the ship, Tommy and Aisha are getting ready, then Rocky arrives and tells them that he won't be able to go on the trip. Rocky thought he was going to disappoint the others, but they are relieved as they were planning for a ranger to stay and guard the power chamber along with Promethea's workers, so Rocky agrees to be the last line of defense. The ship takes off and quickly without wasting time Rocky is attacked by robots that only had his face, a tire and arms with laser weapons. These robots are different in that they can learn from their mistakes and continue to be better warriors. Rocky transforms and begins to destroy as many robots as he can, but they start to become too many for him alone. As Rocky tries to attack, another robot blasts him with a laser beam from behind and knocks him to the ground. One of the robots sends a message with a request asking if he should neutralize or eliminate him, but he is given the order to eliminate Rocky. At that moment, A green lightning bolt explodes all the robots that were around. At that moment, Matthew Cook arrives, the Green Ranger who works with Promethea, who also wants to defend the power chamber. Rocky is very worried and hurt. He tells Matthew that the other Rangers have already left, and he is afraid that the robots will return, but Matthew tells him that he is not alone. One of the robots continues to send images to its owner, which is King Aridin, and he sent the robots to confirm the destruction of the command center. Now the king knows that the command center is destroyed and vulnerable, that Lord Zed has retreated from the site, and that most of the Rangers are off-planet. This is the perfect opportunity to conquer Earth and destroy the Power Rangers forever, along with their source of connection on Earth. King Aridin is the worst enemy of King Mondo, the leader of the Machine Empire. King Aridin is briefly mentioned in Power Rangers Zeo, but his major appearance is in the comics. Back on the ship, Alpha 5 gathers all the Rangers, although he feels strange doing so without Zordon. Alpha tells them that he found a planet that was once inhabited by Eltarians, but they left 30 years ago. This gives the Rangers the advantage that they can find a command center without having to battle anyone and fight a battle they can't win. This planet is called Aegis 5, which is covered entirely with water. This means that the command center they are looking for is underwater, which presents a greater challenge for the Rangers. The most difficult part of the situation is that the command center is not at shallow depth, but is far away from the surface, which makes it even more difficult to get there and even more difficult to take the command center. At this point in the story, the Imperial's threat is over, the Blue Emissary is missing, and Robot 11 is out of commission. Omega Rangers Jason, Zach, Trini, and Yale are in Safe Haven, which is a safe place at the point of eternity. Now without the Blue Emissary, the Rangers must find a way to work alone. Jason searches the computer for signals to find Lord Draken and his ship, but the computer tells him that there is nothing. Still, Jason keeps faith that he will find him. At the lab, Trini is still working tirelessly to try to repair 11 and is on video call with Billy to try to help her by telling her what to do. Even so, Billy's advice is still not working, as he is relying on the workings of Alpha 5. They both manage to turn 11 on, but apparently, she has no memories, and that doesn't work for them. In a secret room full of weapons are Zack and Archon, a respected elder in Safe Haven who has a direct connection to the Morphin grid. They both realize that someone has stolen a weapon, and Archon tells Zack that more things have gone missing recently. Zack acknowledges that it is a place with a lot of inhabitants, but still asks Archon if he has any suspects in mind, and Archon says yes. Zack goes in search of that suspect, which is Kever, a Hartunian who was stealing fruit at the time. Zack gives him a chance to return the weapon he stole without having to do it the hard way, but Kever throws the fruit in his face and flees. After a quick chase, Kever hides and Zack thinks he lost him, but surprisingly manages to catch him. Although Kever continues to deny that he is the thief of the gun, Zack continues to insist and tells him that if he doesn't take him to where the gun is, he will lock him up for several centuries. Back at the lab, Trini keeps trying to bring Eleven's memories back, but nothing has worked. Even 11 can talk and do everything normally, but it's like it's a new system. At that moment, Trini gets a call from Billy, who was running a diagnostic on 11's entire system, but everything was normal. The only thing he could find is that a user was blocking 11's memories. Trini is confused since she didn't do it and knows that Jason or Zack wouldn't know how to do that. Then, the unexpected happens. 11 tells Trini that he is blocking his own memories, as she had told him that he has seen many terrible things, worlds destroyed and many people who have lost their lives. Because of this, 11 doesn't want to have to think about all that again and tells Trini that he doesn't need all those memories to be a good Omega Ranger's assistant. This is 11's final decision, and he tells Trini that if he can't respect that, then he should pull the plug. Elsewhere, Jason continues to work with the computer searching for the Wraith 2 ship and Lord Draken, but the computer tells him it has found nothing. At that moment, Yale enters chasing a flying jellyfish and interrupts the search and the computer setup. Yale runs off to the roof of the place and Jason goes after him and notices everything that Yale has destroyed. He then climbs up to the roof very angry and is amazed at all the flying jellyfish he sees in the sky. Continuing with Zack, Kevert and Archon, they go in search of the stolen weapon and Kevert directs them to where he lives now, as he says his parents died in Hartunia and he was forced to travel and was abandoned in Safe Haven. Unfortunately, no one wanted another mouth to feed, and they passed Kevert from family to family until he found that place where he lives now. When they arrive, Kevert tells them that inside is the gun and asks them to find it and leave him alone. When they enter the house, they realize that Kevert had stolen more things than they had thought. We can even see that there is a king's crown, an Eltarian warrior's helmet and even a Red Ranger's helmet. At that moment, Kevert appears with the weapon and threatens them, as he says he must be prepared when the beings that destroyed their planet arrive. Zack and Archon tell him that he is safe there as the Imperials no longer exist. They start fighting and Kevert starts telling Zack that the Omega Rangers are the only thing holding Safe Haven together. If the Omega Rangers leave, then people are going to start fighting each other and form a war for power. Kevert gives Zack a hard blow and tells him that he has nothing left to do but survive in that place. At that moment, Archon takes a swing at Kevert and takes away his weapon to save Zack. Kevert thought that Archon would take his life, but surprisingly he tells him his story and tells him that when he arrived on that planet, he had nothing because of the Hartunians, and yet he decided to make Safe Haven his home and swore to protect it. Besides that, he tells him that he cannot protect the planet alone and needs help. Then, Archon extends his hand and offers him a home and a purpose to live. After that, the 4 Omega Rangers meet at the computer site and begin to talk about the future of the Omega Rangers and the other planets. Trini tells Jason that he must change since he has spent every day and every hour on the computer looking for Draken, and they must leave the past behind and focus on other things and other worlds that need the Omega Rangers. Surprisingly, Jason agrees with Trini and tells her that Yale helped him realize everything he was missing. Then, the Omega Rangers start sending a message to all the planets in the universe to tell all the inhabitants that they are not alone and that the Omega Rangers are going to protect the weak and warn the villains that they are not going to continue abusing the weak. In one of those worlds, we can see Andrus, the Red Ranger from in space, but in another world, we can see the followers of Vox, a powerful villain who had already had problems with the Omega Rangers. These villains were destroying a planet and sacrificing the inhabitants when they received the message and decided to track the signal to know the exact location of the Rangers because they want their revenge. After Zordon was at Promethea asking Grace for help, he now returns to the command center, which we know is destroyed. Promethea employees are cleaning up the place to get everything ready before the Rangers find a new command center. After a bit of a bumpy ride, Zordon arrives at his destination. Matthew the Green Ranger greets him and opens the doors. One of Promethea's employees helps move Zordon's tube out of the truck but drops it in a very silly way. The Green Ranger gets upset with the Promethea employee and Zordon thanks him for all his help. But Matthew is still upset with Zordon since he had previously told him that he was going to take the power coin from him. Zordon and Promethea's relationship has never been very good, and this is why he doesn't have a good relationship with Grace and Matthew. Because of this, Zordon talks to Grace and thanks her for all the help, plus he also apologizes for all the things he has said and done. Grace does not receive the apology very well, even though she has been waiting for many years for Zordon to apologize to her. Now we can see Matthew from a very high place talking on a cell phone with Rocky, and we can see the place surrounded by a force field to protect the power chamber. This force field is created with the help of the Megazords because even though they are damaged, they still work to channel the energy. In their conversation, Matthew realizes that Rocky is a bit busy, and it is because he is taking care of his siblings, and Matthew offers to help him. In Aegis 5, the Rangers are looking for the command center, which is underwater, and somehow they have oxygen thanks to the Morphin grid. The Rangers are divided into two teams. Team 1 are Tommy, Adam and Aisha. They are swimming through several caves to try to get some access to the inside of the command center and find out if there is anything dangerous inside. Team 2 consists of Billy and Kimberly, who are searching for the exact location of the command center from above. Team 1 mysteriously finds a cave full of alien eggs, which they find to be mysterious because, if there are eggs, then there may be life on that supposedly abandoned planet. Now Team 2 was able to find the exact location of the command center, but Team 1 is still suspicious that there is something fishy going on as the mission is going too easy. At that moment, the Rangers are surrounded by an alien species from that planet, who don't look so happy that the Rangers are invading. Back on Earth at Rocky's house, all his siblings are getting ready to leave for another location and are waiting for a special guest. It should be noted that Rocky's family obviously doesn't know that he is a Power Ranger. At that moment, someone knocks on the door, and when they open it, it is the Green Ranger coming to take them all to another place. Back on Aegis 5, the Rangers begin to fight with the inhabitants of that planet, who are very angry because they think that the Rangers are Eltarians coming to invade and enslave them. The Rangers were looking for the command center, which is a surveillance center created by Eltarians, and in addition to this, they also arrived at that planet in an Eltarian ship, and it is because of this that the inhabitants of the planet think that the Rangers are from Eltar. Aisha manages to stop the fight and tells the planet's leader that they are not from Eltar and that they only came to look for the command center. Unfortunately, for the Rangers, that command center is what is protecting the eggs of these inhabitants, so they are never going to let them take the command center. Even so, Aisha convinces them to let them enter the command center to look for information about the location of other command centers for them to travel to those other planets, and the planet's leader only allows Billy and Aisha to enter. On the way inside the command center, the leader tells them that the Eltarians offered them many things in exchange for them to join their troops, supposedly for peacekeeping, but in reality, it was for wars. Because of this, this planet was almost extinct, and this made the Eltarians leave. This is why the inhabitants of this planet hid, so that the Eltarians would continue to think that there is no life there. When they arrived inside the command center, we can see that there is a giant bubble that protects the offspring of these aliens, and the leader of the planet tells the Rangers to look for everything they need because this will be the last time someone will enter that place. While Billy begins to look for coordinates of other command centers, Aisha tells him that she has never seen him worried about losing his powers, but Billy tells her that he has never been worried about that. He is worried about losing his friends and sees the world in a different way, because when he sees places like that planet, he can realize that there is something bigger than power weapons and Zords. On Earth now is Matthew, Rocky and his family at the site of the old command center. One of the twins is talking to Zordon and asking him very uncomfortable questions as he asks him about where his arms are. Rocky, very embarrassed, goes to find him quickly and acts as if he has never met Zordon, as his family doesn't know he is a ranger. Inside the offices is Rocky's sister, and he meets Grace. She starts to tell him that Grace has a lot of money and wants some advice on how she can make it too. At that moment, when Grace goes to tell her, they start to feel a strong wind, and it is that a strange ship was coming to the place. Grace leaves the conversation halfway through and goes out to investigate what was going on. She asks Dr. Zaskin about the ship and who is driving it, but the doctor tells her that he finds no signs of life. This confused Grace a lot, and the most confusing thing is that the doctor also tells her that this is contradictory, since from the ship they sent a message saying that the new ruler of planet Earth has arrived, and he expects us to have prepared a proper throne. At that moment, we can see King Aridin and his servants get off the ship, who want to conquer the Earth, taking advantage of the fact that Lord Zed and the Rangers are not there, besides the fact that the Earth is vulnerable without the command center. Back in Safe Haven are the Omega Rangers, but while Zack and Trini are sleeping, Jason and Yale are training hard. Then, when Jason arrives back at the house, Zack and Trini are already awake, but a little cranky as they are still tired. While Jason prepares his breakfast, he tells the Rangers that they should enjoy this paradise because they can do whatever they want, without lies and without hiding their identity, but Trini only thinks that they still have a big responsibility because they must protect the universe. Now, the Rangers go to the point of eternity and talk to 11 to know if they received any response from the message they had sent to all the planets. The Rangers receive responses from 2 different planets. On the first one there is no sign of life, and it can only be a ship that was stranded on that planet. The second response comes from planet KO-35 and is an urgent emergency signal as there are attacks with large weapons all over the planet. The Rangers decide to split up in order to travel to the 2 planets, so first, it's Morphin time. On the first planet, which is located in the Mindrose system, we can see Zack and Trini looking for the emergency signal, but it takes them a while to find the ship that is emitting this signal. We can see that the ship they found is destroyed and the Rangers feel that this could be a trap. Because of this, Trini decides to enter the ship alone, so Zack stays outside watching. Inside the ship, Trini realizes that the signal was disabled and there are only dead bodies. She also tells 11 that the escape pod is gone, which means someone had to use it and may still be nearby and need help. Zack is outside the ship and finds the engine but realizes that it is unstable and could explode at any moment. Suddenly, a loud noise is heard outside the ship which scares Trini very much. At that moment, a giant winged monster appears, probably the one that destroyed the ship, and wants to attack the Rangers, but they invoke the Omegazord power. Now in the second emergency location, on planet KO-35, Jason and Yale are looking for the problem. Jason thinks that there was a big war going on there, many lives were lost and apparently the Rangers were too late. At that moment, Yale can smell that something bad is happening and Jason feels that they walked right into an ambush. Suddenly, aliens called the Zurichs appear, and they are looking for a Ranger, but they recognize that Jason is not the Ranger they are looking for. Still, they threaten him and tell him that if Jason goes with them then Yale won't suffer when they eat him. The battle begins and Jason tells Zurichs that he always tells Yale to hold back, but this time he won't tell him anything. In the middle of the battle Jason asks what they did to the planet, and they tell him that they ate everyone and it's the same thing they do to all the planets. While the Rangers are still fighting, we can see someone hiding in the shadows watching everything. Back in Mindro, the Rangers are fighting with their Omegazords against the ferocious giant beast, and no matter how many blows they have given it, the beast is still going forward very angry. Trini decides to tie the beast with chains and throw it towards the ship. Because the ship's engine was unstable, everything explodes, and the Rangers manage to finish off the monster. After that hard battle, 11 tells the Rangers that he found the escape pod of the ship that had just exploded. The Rangers go to the location and manage to find the capsule, but when they open it, they get a big surprise. Inside the capsule is an alien baby. In KO-35, The Rangers are still fighting with the Zurichs, and after so much arguing, in the end only one of the aliens is left. This last alien tries to run, but suddenly he is attacked with a laser beam, and Jason gets scared since he was not the one who launched the laser beam. The one who launched the beam was the same one who was watching the battle from the shadows hiding, and tells the Rangers that they must leave before more aliens arrive. Still, Jason demands that he needs to know who it is, so the person takes off his hood, and to everyone's surprise it is Andrus, the Red Ranger from in space. At this point in the story, Jason does not know Andrus, and for those who do not know Andrus should know that Andrus comes from the planet KO-35, and that is why he calls the Omega Rangers to this planet to help him save what is left. Back at Safe Haven, the Rangers took the baby to the lab to verify that all was well. The capsule had the baby asleep in a deep sleep, and 11 says it may be many hours or many days before she wakes up. One very important detail that 11 says is that the baby's metabolic system is very fast. Then, Zach and Trini have a call with Jason. They talk about what is going on with the baby and that the computer records have no information on the species of that alien. They also ask Jason if he needs help, but he tells them that Andrus told him that no ship can go in as it may alert enemies. Zach and Trini are worried as they don't know who Andrus is and ask Jason to be careful. Then, as Zach and Trini talk about the baby's future and how they are going to have to take care of him since he has no one, 11 interrupts them and tells them that they need to go to the infirmary fast. Zach and Trini freak out and ask about the baby's health, but 11 tells them that his health is fine, but there is another situation they need to look at. The supposed baby has woken up and is no longer a baby. Apparently its metabolic system is so fast that the growth of this alien is accelerated.